Looks like yield is back on the menu, boys. Do you think at ETF Fund Manager School they have a class on public relations? Because if they did, I think the people managing SVOL would get a 100. They don't even need AI to help them with their homework. In December of 2023, I made a video regarding 3 major concerns for the ETF SVOL. Those were the increased expense ratio of the ETF, the fund was suddenly showing return of capital several months in a row on the books, and the shift of some of its holdings to bond positions. I wasn't the only one concerned about these things, and the fund managers have responded, both in the form of formal presentations and in-person interviews. I appreciate the transparency and the time they took to address these concerns. I'll leave the primary sources used for this video below so you can check them out yourself, and honestly, they're incredibly informative. I'll give you a quick summary in relation to the concerns from the video I made in December of 2023. Regarding the increased expense ratio of the ETF, I'll admit I was a little harsh. I said something along the lines of, if the expense ratio doubled, am I getting double the value? Honestly, I'm just salty my regular Chick-fil-A combo meal costs double since I graduated high school. Food and expense ratios are not an apples to apples comparison, but deflecting my frustrations onto an ETF that has no feelings whatsoever is cheaper than therapy. Tapping the like button is also cheaper than therapy, and it'll make you feel good. So why has the expense ratio of the ETF gone from 0.66 when I first bought it to today at 1.16%? Is it inflation? Is the fund charging more given its high dividend, or is it something else entirely? In this interview on the YouTube channel Armchair Income, Larry Kim, the managing director at Simplify, addresses the line item other items under management fees. As he explains, the situation is that one of their broker-dealers may ask for a higher amount of collateral. In order to make this happen, the fund accesses a repurchase agreement, which is a form of short-term borrowing for dealers in government securities. Doing this generates income from the cash they get, which offsets the interest they pay on the repurchase agreement, so the net effect is no added cost. But because of accounting rules, the interest cost must be added to the expense ratio, but the interest earned may not be used to offset it, so the increased fee is just a byproduct. So I think I got this, so I'll do my best to explain it in more simple terms. The fund needed collateral, and because of the rules set in place, the reported expense ratio goes up. SVOL is just following the rules, and by doing so, it makes it seem more expensive than before. So why is this happening now? Well, previously, the broker-dealers they were working with were not asking for more collateral in the past compared to today, so there was no need to go through the process of a repurchase agreement in the past. Alright, so far so good, business as usual. What about the consecutive months of return of capital? Is this a problem for SVOL? So according to Larry Kim, most of the return of capital seen for SVOL was due to accounting treatment. Fund distributions fall into 4 categories: income, short-term capital gains, long-term capital gains, and return of capital. So SVOL's strategy involves VIX futures, and because of accounting rules, the fund will rarely have short-term or long-term capital gains distributions. So we only really have to look at income and return of capital. From Simplify's explainer video, a majority of the fund distribution will be classified as income, but we will see return of capital as well. The information from just this explainer video didn't give me extreme clarity on this issue, but from the interview, Larry Kim also goes over this, saying that in general, the return of capital that we've seen is usually a result of the VIX futures portion of the fund. Now, SVOL does have managed distributions, so some months the fund will pay out more than it made, and some months it will pay out less than it made. The goal is, over a long period of time, the payouts should match how much the fund is actually making. They keep the distributions at the same level for a lot of reasons, one of them being so that we investors can plan for cash flow, so some of the return of capital may be from a month where the fund didn't earn as much as anticipated. If that's not super clear, or if you're wondering how we investors can know if the fund is actually making money, Mr. Kim hits this right on the head and emphasizes the truth serum, also known as total returns of the fund. So if we want to know if the fund is making money and don't want to get lost in all these accounting rules, look at total returns. That basically tells us everything we need to know in a nutshell. And he does confirm that a majority of the 2023 return of capital we see was from VIX futures. So why is return of capital here now, and why weren't we seeing this before? Well, the simple answer is that SVOL is its own unique fund and is basically one of a kind. With this comes some growing pains, and the fund wanted to move carefully, which I can appreciate given how complex the laws surrounding funds like this can be. So out of the gate, every distribution was classified as income, which they felt was the most conservative option. And as time went on, the accountants felt more comfortable classifying portions of the distribution as return of capital. Alright, so what about the fund's bond position? Why would the fund make a move like this? Well, according to the explainer video, SVOL harvests VIX roll yield by selling VIX futures, and and because trading VIX futures requires very little cash, the fund has cash on hand. So in order to use that cash efficiently, the fund invests in income-producing securities, which helps generate income for the fund. So the bond position is still in line with using cash to generate income, and the fund managers decided at the time that a bond position was the best move given what they saw for their options. So there's some more information on another interview featuring Larry Kim and Sailesh Gupta, portfolio manager and head of trading at Simplify, on the Passive Income Investing YouTube channel about this bond position specifically. But the bottom line is that I fully expect SVOL to have its fixed income positions change over time, and I don't think that when we see changes, it should be an immediate cause of concern. The fund managers are probably looking at the data and looking for the best place to allocate capital. SVOL's fund managers have shown that they are thinking long-term, willing to address investor concerns, and ultimately emphasize long-term overall performance as the key metric. So for us investors, we just have to get the information, we need to make the best decisions possible, and all those concerns from December of 2023, for me at least, have been addressed. Now we just have to wait and see how SVOL performs. Let me know your thoughts on SVOL down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.